Let me clear my throat before I get into this presentation for today. Ladies and gentlemen, just bear with me for a moment. Welcome to our monthly virtual interactive conference, Saturday, May 30th, 2026. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbie. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe to my YouTube page, ladies and gentlemen. Although today is Thursday, it's not Saturday. This is side A. So I'm doing I would call it a pre-recorded portion of the GRCAM monthly virtual interactive conference. So just want to go ahead. I'm finished writing my presentation. So I want to go ahead and get this over and done with and be ready for Saturday for side B when I have my panelists. Again, if they show up, if not, hey, at least I tried. But again, this is what this is all about. So the theme, the murder of Fred Hampton and lessons learned from past Black grassroots organizations. I will discuss a little bit about the documentary entitled, quote, "The Night the U.S. Silenced Fred Hampton," unquote. After I finish my pep talk, then we will turn the podcast over to my panelists if they show up, because again, this is all quote unquote volunteers, people that's on my friends list and people that's in my social groups. I appreciate everything that they do for working with me. We're doing the best that we can to get our message out there loud and clear. We're beating the drums loud as we can so that they can share their thoughts about the topics. Well, let me say about the topic. Then we will open up the phone lines for Q&A by dropping the StreamYard link in the chat room. And that will be called Side B. And that's what we're going to be doing on Saturday, where YouTube Live, when Saturday, May 30th, time, 2 p.m. American Central Time, 3 p.m. Canadian Time, 8 p.m. West African Time, 9 p.m. South African Time, 10 p.m. East African Time, and 8 p.m. UK Time. If you are unable to participate in our monthly virtual interactive conference, no worries. We host this event every last Saturday of each month until we are able to raise the $250,000 for our film project, as well as to get my ebook. Let me say that again, as well as to get my revised ebook on that bestsellers list, so that way I would be in a better position financially to hire Black people, African people, and others. In the meantime, please listen to the replay, leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast. Most of all, please share this audio podcast link with all of your Facebook friends and on all social media sites that you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. We have a lot of material to cover today, and I'm going to skip over a lot of things as well. I usually talk about in order to address the current trends that's happening in the news. Let me be clear. Anyone on my Facebook friends list or anyone in my Facebook social groups who care less about solving Black issues or solving African issues, then please do me a favor. Delete me off your friends list and go on about your business because you're just taking up space. I'm not here to be wasting, hot air. I created this platform to recruit brave and smart, like minded Black Americans beyond Chicago, brave and smart, like minded African immigrants across the United States of America to work with me directly. I'm encouraging them, as well as Black Americans, to please read my revised ebook for yourself. If you agree with my vision and plan to help improve Black America, then you will automatically become a GRCAM member. Work with me, help me get that book on that bestsellers list so that way the Black world can take our cause serious. Ladies and gentlemen, my message to African immigrants living in South Africa: please leave South Africa as soon as you can. Don't wait around until June 30th. I don't want to see none of my I would say African brothers and sisters being injured or you know unalive. That's not a good look. Even if all the illegal African migrants were gone from South Africa, South Africa will still have the same problems because the white supremacist financial elites still occupy 80% of stolen land, and they are the ones who created the economic apartheid. They're the ones that's causing all these doggone problems in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Look at what's going on with the gas prices now. America, attacked, Iran. That was an unprovoked war. But as long as we are involved in the white man system, we're going to continue to be affected. It is what it is. If Black South Africans receive me, and if the global African family would step up and help me get my revised book or my revised ebook on that bestsellers list, then I would be able to get my Black Christian business, GRCAM of Chicago, the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. I would be able to get it popping here. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to do. Our goal would be to cut the unemployment rate from 30% to 15%. At least half. That's what I would do if I'm able to get my business up and running here in America first. Because I have to transfer or replicate the business on the African continent. Black people and African people globally as a collective are unprepared to fight against white supremacy. So right now, we both have to heal from the scars of slavery and colonization. I have been reaching out to Black Americans for the past 34 years, ladies and gentlemen, in real life and online. A majority of Black Americans tell me that they're not interested. I've been paying out of pocket for my business title for the past 16 years. Just wasting money because I still lack an advisory board or a resource team. A twisted brother who claims to be FBA, a foundational Black American, had an issue with me on Substack because I refuse to accept that term FBA. You're not going to impose something on me. I identify as DAS FM, descendants of American slaves slash freedmen. We're both from the same lineage. But the problem I have with FBA is, uh, you know, they like to sit up here and argue back and forth, with, they have a negative reputation, with uh, African immigrants and Afro Caribbeans. You know what I'm saying? And they're kind of known for causing the diaspora war, so to speak. That's also under Tariq Nasheed's, I would say that's under his camp. So, I reached out to that brother before. He never returned my emails. I was trying to, see if I can get him to work with me, as it pertains to my film project and all that good stuff. And, I felt like, the guy thought that, having a big ego and all that kind of stuff, like, you, yeah, I got mine, you get yours, so to speak. And, that's a lot of, that's how it is, with a lot of our people here in America, and that's what I wrote about in my book as well. You know, they got theirs. It's all about, hey, I got mine, you get yours. I ain't on that at all. I ain't gonna chase somebody down and all that stuff. I keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, this twisted brother, he set up here and was writing all kinds of foolishness in my comments on Substack. So yeah, dude called me a tether and all that kind of foolishness, and I had to check the brother. I'm like, hey, look, man, I ain't doing nothing to you. I don't even know you, man. I just told him, send me your email address, make arrangements with me to come on my show, get on camera, and let's debate. You know what I'm saying? And then a few days later, all of a sudden, my Substack was suspended. I'm like, godly. I ain't. Now, if that dude would have used that energy in terms of buying my book, reading my story, he would see that I'm advocating for Black Americans, that I'm trying to bring a business in the low income Black community to create jobs. You know what I'm saying? But no, he want to sit up here and just run off at the mouth and just start talking ill. That's not cool at all. And so we can't build with people with Black people like him or African people like him. This is why we're going to vet every person who walked through our doors. And we're going to put everything out on the table and let people know up front what we're about. You know what I'm saying? The grassroots community activist movement is about building and healing. Black Americans who identify as DAS FM, descendants of American slaves slash freemen, will heal from this slave mentality, which is Willie Lynch. African immigrants in the United States of America will heal from this colonized mindset. Both Black Americans and African immigrants, we will, both groups will help me build and run the best Black Christian business within the United States of America, and that is GRCAM Chicago, the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. Both Black Americans and African immigrants will learn how to respect each other's culture, learn how to conduct business together, and help replicate this business in 10 African nations. Since Black Chicagoans have rejected and overlooked my vision and plan for the past 34 years, hate to keep saying it like that, but this is real. You know what I'm saying? That's why I wrote that book. You know, that's my hey, that's my truth. Anyhow, my business will be membership based, point blank. So those that rejected my vision and plan for the past 34 years, including my family members, would not be part of my business. That's how it is, and that's how it's going to be. And that's real. What make our Black Christian business different from these other, I would say, Black businesses that's already out here is, for one, we want to become the economic base within the low income Black community. That's the goal, to become the economic base. Secondly, we will have two types of businesses: a nonprofit business and a for-profit business. Under our for-profit business, that's where I'm going to make my bread and butter. I'm not going to be sitting up here, you know, uh, constantly asking people, to buy the book. Hey, if you don't want to buy the book, fine. Keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? But how you gonna know my story? How you know what you're gonna get yourself involved with unless you read it? You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to read my story. My revised book again is the foundation of my Christian business. I'm just saying. GRCAM members will own and control our own community grocery store, community healthcare clinic, and community housing. I will work it out with my attorney to allow active GRCAM members to own 2% of the business. We want to promote a kingdom economy through this business. Those three industries alone will help create jobs for GRCAM members because everyone needs food, healthcare, and shelter. GRCAM Chicago will be membership based, as I explained, and we will separate ourselves from the enemy within, which are con artists, Black boule, degenerates, Democrat shields, hardened criminals, pedophiles, off-code Negroes, and urban terrorists. Once we obtain a physical building, then we will hold mandatory orientations and give local residents in Chicago, I would say on the west side of Chicago, we're going to cover Austin, Garfield Park, and North Lawndale, and eventually expand to the south side of Chicago as well. So we're going to give local residents an opportunity to join us because, after all, this business is for them and their families. Black Americans who identify as descendants of American slaves / freedmen. If someone say that they're FBA, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, then I'm not going to fool with you. Because FBA been too doggone disrespectful. Just like I said, the twisted brother that got me kicked off for Substack, I wasn't bugging him. Not at all. That's not even cool. He ain't gonna do that to those drug dealers that's in the hood. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't bother them. He ain't gonna do that to urban terrorists, hardcore gang members. He ain't gonna mess with them. But a brother like myself that want to try to create jobs and stuff, you want to sit up here and get me kicked off? Well, I'm trying to get more exposure. I hope he's happy and satisfied because the internet is my second home. I'm on a whole lot of different social networks, so I'm not going to even say it because I don't want him to others to sit up here and try to get me kicked off. Because again, all I'm doing is sharing the news and all that stuff. I'm just trying to recruit brave and smart people that's going to help me run this thing so I can move from behind the computer. That's all. Everyone must sign the community pledge, pass our criminal background check, and those who are 18 and above must submit their thumbprint in our database. So that way we can know who's doing what within the business. We will have protocol in place to weed out those who would try to undermine us. There will be consequences for con artists and anyone that will try to undermine us. For example, if someone want to try to bring that LGBT stuff, over here, we're just gonna let them know that, hey, if that's what you are, that's your business. Our focus is in this business. When we're here in America, when I'm here, it's to solve Black issues point blank. When I bring the business over to the African continent, our focus will be on solving African issues point blank. Nothing else on earth matters. That's real. That's what keeps my business different from these other Black business and organizations. And again, I'm only responsible for the GRCAM members and their immediate family members. At this point in at, at this point in the game, those that want to stay in a burning house, I'm gonna say let them burn. We can't help people that don't want more out of life. It's just that simple. Again, I don't want to spend another 34 years keep reaching out to people that just don't care. You know what I'm saying? People over there in Africa, they're desperate trying to get jobs. I want to bring my business over there, but doggone it, got to get it popping here in America first. Ladies and gentlemen, some people keep saying, oh, that sounds like a scam. Those are small-minded, twisted individuals. Again, we pray for them, show them tough love, and keep it moving. If you think it's a scam, delete me off your friends list. Go on about your business. That's all I'm saying. Don't wait until I start making money and the film finally get fully funded and made, and we making a positive impact. I don't want to hear no congratulations. I want to make sure we remain strangers for life. That's just how I get down. Again, all I have is my revised book, my virtual store, my online groups, and this platform. My film project is my last attempt to raise capital in order for GRCAM members and I to make a quality Black empowerment film. The proceeds from the film will help put me in a better position financially to hire qualified Black middle class professionals. So that way, to make sure that the business will be effective and successful for years to come, so we can pass it down to other GRCAM members. That's how this works, ladies and gentlemen. And again, that's for credibility before I cut and run to Africa. Um, so look at, and I do, I do have videos about this. Look at these teen takeovers that are happening across the United States, such as in New Jersey, Chicago, New York, just to name a few, by Black youth. They are destroying property, stealing items from stores, and you have people who want to make all types of excuses for them. That's not Black culture. That's degeneracy. But the mainstream media wants to promote this type of degeneracy, and this will give rogue cops an excuse to harm and target Black people and African people. The majority of teen takeovers, flash mobs, are destroying property not only in stores but also on cruises and in Airbnb. As long as people keep making excuses for them, they will continue this behavior. These degenerates help fuel the stereotypes about the need for school to prison pipeline. In Chicago, again, there will be consequences and a zero tolerance for foolishness. Our children are becoming our children are coming from broken homes, and through Cacao Chicago, we will help fix those issues, but without financial support from the Black grassroots and the global African family, then I am unable to do my God given assignment. My critics ask me, how long, Emmanuel, will it take you to get your film project fully funded and made? I tell them that's up to the Black grassroots and the global African family. It's up to them. It doesn't matter how bad I would like to get this business up and running in Chicago. The choice is up to them. Um, Same thing about white America. We can't wait make white America give us our reparations. Yes, we can withhold our vote from the Democrats. Um, you know, but again, there is one more card that we can use, and that is to obtain dual citizenship in either an African nation or in a Caribbean nation. I'm just saying. Because Black Americans have been marching and protesting, in this country. Uh, I'm going to say for the past 60 years, begging descendants of slave owners for freedom, justice, and equality. That does not work. Why? Because that goes against white supremacy. I'm just saying. Black Americans who are GRCAM members, we will use our talents and skills to help improve the African economy in exchange for dual citizenship and land. In America, the low income Black community is being destroyed by degenerates and off code Negroes, as well as Black politicians who are in the pockets of the white supremacist financial elites. They're just selling our people out. Our children who reside in the Black ghettos view hardened criminals as role models. How do I know? Because that's what my peers used to tell me back when I was growing up in the Black ghetto. They are lured into the fast life because of all the bling they see. They think making fast money is cool. These kids all know the name brand gym shoes, but can't write their names in cursive, and that's unfortunate. And again, this is why Gurkai is needed. But hey, doggone it. I mean, oh, this is so frustrating. I just wish I wish the power of God would reveal himself. He would connect me with the right people to have the means to help fund this film project, help get my revised book on that bestsellers list, so that way we can get things done. Because I can't do everything, and I'm not going to do everything. That's why once I get the business popping here in Chicago, I'm going to turn the business over. But again, I want to make sure that Sister Renee will be well taken care of. She's been working with me behind the scene for the past 14 years. I wish I had more people like her working with me, but hey, it is what it is. And she preferred to be behind the scenes and all that good stuff. But when I come to Africa, I just want to work with African families that want more out of life. Bottom line. And again, I want them to become GRCAM members because we can't help everybody. The public school system is failing our children. Many children are reading below the national reading level. Business owners leaving the community because all of the shootings and crime is not profitable for business to remain. Companies are in business to make money. In Chicago, we will work with Black families, again, who identify as descendants of American slaves slash freedmen. We will assist them in raising their their immediate family members so that they can advance in life. It's my hope that all GRCAM members would be able to become middle class and become homeowners. I'm just saying. That's my intention. Purpose. We host our monthly virtual interactive conference on the last Saturday of each month in order to interact with our listeners in real time as well as to raise funds for our film project. We use three crowdfunding sites: GoFundMe, Buy Me a Coffee, and PayPal Giving Fund so that everyone will know exactly how much money we will raise and where the money will go. Once we raise $250,000, then I will encourage those who are seasoned filmmakers to come to Chicago so that we can begin hosting auditions for roles in the film. Once I finish my presentation, then I will turn over the podcast to my panelists, which is called Side B. Okay. I need all of my listeners to please help me get my revised ebook on that bestsellers list. Okay. Again, that will help put me in a better position financially so I can hire Black people, African people, and others. Our objective is to create a bridge black between the low income Black community and the African immigrant community. Cacao Chicago aims to transcend art, fashion, filmmaking, and music. Cacao Chicago goal is to help our Black youth get off the streets and keep them out of gangs by giving them an opportunity to play in our Black empowerment films. We will give them stipends so that they can feed their families and pay their bills. We will also offer an associate's degree and or vocational training because Cacao Chicago will be a multi-purpose facility. So we're going to do many things in there. The perks of being an active GRCAM member. One, if you are a musician, I'm going to say a GRCAM member, a GRCAM. Let me just say it this way: if you are a GRCAM musician, all right, then we will compensate you by giving you an opportunity to play your music in our films, in our stage plays, and at our live events, as long as you're an active member. Another perks would be you will have an opportunity to audition for a role in our future films, and we will compensate you for your time and talent. Uh, another perks would be once we set up chapters in 10 African nations, then you could travel with us during our African tours to meet other GRCAM members to promote your book, business, or music in real life. We will offer sports team for our youth. We will offer we will have a baseball team, a basketball team, and a soccer team. Talent search. We will have a Christian spoken word versus secular spoken word, and whoever can flow the best will win $500 in cash. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is once we get the business up and running. It's been like, Lord have mercy. I'm just doing the best that I can. I hope I can get this thing up and running in my lifetime. That's all I'm saying. I don't know how long this is going to take. You know, it's 34 years. I'm still on first base. It's a straight up turnoff. But hey, somebody got to do what I'm trying. And I want the whole black world to see what I'm trying to do. This is why I created my platform. I refuse to be ignored. And again, my business will be membership based. Those that don't want to be a part of us, no problem. We'll keep it moving. And we will make sure that the business, we're going to have armed security. We're going to have surveillance cameras, drones, the whole 9 yards to make sure people are going to be safe. We want to promote community safety. You know what I'm saying? So it's really bad, but hey, I'm just trying to do this to be a blessing. Like I didn't even. This is what, like I say, this is my God given assignment. I didn't ask for this, but I'm just trying to be obedient. Just wish that the Lord would just speed up the process. That's all. This is a big turnoff, and I'm I'm not gonna go through this mess when I come to Africa. Please, Africans, don't act like Black Americans for real. Somebody up here trying to build something productive, you don't sit up here and treat them like a bum. Shoot, I don't have any kids. I ain't asking for no handout. I'm just trying to find brave and smart people that's competent, that's going to be able to help me run the business without me always having to be present. That's all. We will offer a food pantry providing monthly groceries, clothing, and social service in order for the low income Black community to thrive. We will be dedicated to promoting Black economic empowerment and improving the quality of life for Black Americans in Chicago and beyond through health, education, business, youth service, and cultural initiatives. That's all I'm trying to do, ladies and gentlemen. Our monthly virtual interactive conference is meant to recruit brave and smart, like-minded Black Americans beyond Chicago and brave and smart, like-minded African immigrants across the United States of America. That's why I do this stuff. I call upon everyone on my Facebook page, my Instagram page, my TikTok page, my LinkedIn page, and my X page. I need you all to help me get my revised ebook on that bestsellers list so I can do my God given assignment. I call upon Black millennials and Generation Z to please read my story, quote, The Solution for Black America, Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America, second edition. It's available in two forms on Amazon, either as an ebook for $9.99 or as a softcover book for $15 plus shipping and handling. And again, if you agree with my vision and plan to help improve Black America, specifically Black Chicago, then you will automatically become a GRCAM member. I call upon like minded African immigrants across the United States of America. From 10 African nations, they are as follows: South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Angola, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Nigeria. I understand y'all came over here to live out your American dream, but I need your help. Truth be told, I am unable to connect with my people, Black Americans, due to a majority of them have become Americanized, unfortunately, and have developed a narcissist attitude. They have taken on the colonizer's ways. Others have become holier than thou. that they're no earthly good. For 34 years, Black Chicagoans have rejected and overlooked my vision and plan to help improve our low income Black community. Mark my words, once we get this Christian business, or once this Christian business materialize, then everybody, then mark my words, everybody in Chicago will come out of the woodwork and would want to be a part of us. Like I said, this is why I want people to read my story because, again, I don't operate like the next Black man. I have my own style and way of doing things. I'm not looking for people to like me. I'm not looking for um, no type of approval and all that kind of stuff. I'm just looking for people that's standing on business just like me, and that's can that can do the job. You know what I'm saying? So at the end, ain't nothing changing for me. At the end of the day, shoot, I'm still standing on business. But again, um, I just want to get the thing up and running so I can bring it over to the African continent. That's all I'm saying. And again, let me remind you the reason why you are able to reach your American dream is because of my ancestors who fought and died during the civil rights era to help get African immigrants, Afro Caribbeans, and other non white immigrants to this country. Truth be told, the white supremacist financial elites only wanted white European immigrants here. You know, I call upon Black content creators and African content creators who have a large audience to allow me to come on your platform so that I can promote my revised book and my film project to your listeners. This will help me get put on blast and get the ball rolling. We are going to build this business from the mud. You know what I'm saying? The only people, I mean, it's going to be GRCAM members, bottom line. Then I can turn the business over to my advisory board or resource team and expand it to the African continent where it belongs. Again, I've been paying out of pocket for the past 16 years and still lack an advisory board or resource team. And this is unacceptable, Black America, because I feel like I'm just wasting my money. And this is why I'm reaching out to the global African family to help speed up the process so we can get things done. That's what I'm all about. Getting stuff done. And skipping over these off code Negroes that ain't about Jack, that just want to come around and cause confusion. Just like that FBA that got me kicked off of Substack. Go down, Wonder. I don't want to come to Africa empty handed. I want to bring economic tangibles in the form of job creation for GRCAM members and the locals. I plan on going to South Africa to help reduce the high unemployment rate from 30% to 15%. But, the way things is going now, I might have to hold off, till it calms down. Shoot. I'm also looking at coming to Kenya. But please, either way it goes, we got to get it spot popping here in America first for credibility. I believe I would not have to explain who I am, my revised book, my film, and my Christian business, GRCAM Chicago, will speak volumes. Know what I'm saying? So, And again, I want to make sure that Sister Renee will be well taken care of. We will dedicate a local chapter for her in West Memphis, Arkansas. Hopefully, her family members will assist her in managing the business. In my case, I can't turn over Cacao Chicago to my family because the majority of my family is full of Willie Lynch. They'll sell the business in a heartbeat, and that's not happening. This is why I want to pass the business down to GRCAM members. You know what I'm saying? Well, when you read my story, yes, I didn't even have a childhood. My family members, I don't know all of my family members, but the ones that I know, um, I think that um, I believe they just looked down on my mother because my mother was disabled. She had a lot of health issues. And I was placed in the system because one of my brothers was a drug dealer, and our apartment got raided a few times, and it wasn't a good environment to be in, and she couldn't control her or my older brother and stuff like that. So, and none of my family or extended family members vouched for me. So I was just taken away, and I was placed in different foster homes, and then eventually into a group home. Uh, I had to, you know, I had to fight, protect myself, and all that. And I learned a lot, how to survive. And this is why I promised myself to go to college, educate myself, so that way I would never have to be in that position that I was in as a child. And so, family members, yeah, they let me down big time. And so I used to regret, I used to hate it to the bone to go to family reunions. My mother, she was crazy about, the family members and stuff. I was like, shoot, I care less, but I had to do what she said because I was a minor. Uh, so as a teenager, but anyway, I'm not going to get into all of that. But all I'm saying, this is what made me the man I am today. And so all I'm trying to do is help my brothers and sisters that's trapped in American ghettos, specifically here in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Yes, that's not a good environment to be raising kids. People are, these urban terrorists just killing our youth, every week. And I'm going to show you all some of that stuff that you could look at once I finish my prep talk. So that way, because like I say, I come with receipts. I don't just sit up here and just be running off at the mouth. I want you to see it for your own with your own eyes. You know, but just try, just want to bring the business there. Just try to make life a little easier for them, for people that ain't able to just up and leave. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a lot of our people that's going to be trapped because of their financial situation. But again, I mean, this is why I create, this is what I'm trying to create the business. I got the paperwork and all that stuff ready. Been ready for 16 years. Still don't have the business up and running. And that's what's a turn off to me. And that's why I want to hurry up, reach out to these, African immigrants across America, as well as the global African family, for us to speed up this process. Help me get that book on that bestsellers list. Help get this film project fully funded and made, so that way I can generate capital and hire competent Black people and African people, as well as others that can do the job. That's all. That's all I'm trying to do, and separate ourselves, like I said, from these off-code Negroes or Afro coons too. Cause I don't fool with them. Some people say I act like I'm better. I'm not trying to say I'm better. It's just I don't fool with them at all. When I say I'm gonna do something, I stick it. I do the best that I can to make that stuff happen. All right. Our first topic: birthright citizenship. Now, there's a lot of things I disagree with Trump, especially like what's going on right now with this war with Iran. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I wrote about that on page. You can see it for yourself on page. Just read page 92 in my revised book. I talk about Iran that that's going to start World War III. And well, that's one of the reasons why a lot of the European nations are, they're backing off because they know that will happen. So, and it still can happen. But anyway, I already predict that because these white supremacist financial elites, they love to be bugging. All they want to do is just drop bombs on people, take other people's resources. Nobody, it's such a turnoff. It really is. But their power is coming to an end. And like I say, I mean, Black Americans, if they want to stay here for, stay in a burning house or a sinking ship, that's on them. I did the best I could. But once we get this business up and running in Chicago, I'm out of here. Big time. And I'm not coming back to America. Shoot. I mean, look, it's just ridiculous. Trying to build something productive that can be useful in the community. But I'm being taken as like a joke. All right. So anyway, like I say, I disagree with that war with Iran. That's just billions of dollars going down the drain. But I do agree with Trump is telling the truth about birthright citizenship. No other country in the world does this except the United States of America. I talked about this topic before. I found a video clip on Fox News. To listen to the video, just go to my Medium transcript, click on the link below this audio podcast. Click the link, then scroll down to show and prove. Basically, on the video, Trump was talking about various things. Then a news reporter asked him about birthright citizenships. It's coming up for the Supreme Court to make a decision on it, I believe sometime next month. He said, we're the only country in the world that has it. You step into our country and you're all of a sudden a citizen. You came in a certain way, and this was not meant for Chinese billionaires to have their children become citizens in our country. That wasn't meant for rich people or poor people. That was meant for the babies of slaves. So I can say quote or unquote. This was signed after the Civil War. And this is allowed to stand. It will be a disaster economically for our country, and you'll have 25% of the people coming into our country coming in through birthright citizenship, and we don't have any control. This decision by the Supreme Court is a very big one. So how do you feel about birthright citizenship, ladies and gentlemen? Please let me know in the comment section below this audio podcast. And if you want to, you can come on this platform and we could talk about it. But you got to know how to use either StreamYard or Zoom. That's all I'm saying. I'm willing to teach you both. And I'll let you know when I'm available and all that stuff to teach you. Foreigners are coming over here, having their babies here, get the passport, and then go back to their country. Once their children turns 18, they return and get access to American citizenship, all because their child was born here. They are called anchor babies. This is how foreign nationals gain the system. An anchor baby is a child born in a country that has birthright citizenships to non citizen parents. It implies the child serves as an quote unquote anchor that helps the family avoid deportation or gain legal residency. Personally, I do not believe we should have birthright citizenship. You have people who are intentionally doing this on purpose. I agree with everything that President 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 Trump is saying about birthright citizenship. It was meant for babies of slaves. The children of slaves became citizens. How did this issue get mixed up for everybody else? It's all because of these Democratic politicians. I did the research. Come to find out that the support for birthright citizenships came from Democrat Party leaders and also from such groups as immigration advocacy groups, civil rights organizations, constitutional scholars, American immigration councils, business groups, American civil liberty unions, and the NAACP. The question is, why are all these immigration advocacy groups involved? Because they are all making money by helping foreign nationals come over here so that they can become the new voting bloc. This is the reason why the job fair or the job force is so messed up because of birthright citizenship. The reason why we are getting defunded in the millions of dollars of, from taxpayer is because of birthright citizenship. For example, if I came over here from a different country, I would be considered an illegal immigrant. But if I have a newborn here, my child would be a US citizen. I would automatically have access to free food, free health care, and free housing because I have an anchor baby. This is the reason why we shouldn't have birthright citizenship, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about this from an economic viewpoint. The reason why there is so much money fraud going on under birthright citizenship is because the money is going to undocumented people. Now they have now they can have access to all of the funds as every other American because their child is an American citizen. I believe if you come from a different country, then you should not automatically become an American citizen until you become a third generation. A lot of things that were made for Black Americans are being used by other groups like the Civil Rights Bill, which was meant for Black Americans, but the white supremacist financial elites included the term minority, which meant it applies to Arabs, Asians, East Indians, Latinos, white women, etc. They include everybody. On this platform, we are pushing for lineage based cash payment reparations for descendants of American slaves slash freemen. We have a lot of people from overseas coming over here taking good jobs. The reason why Black Americans are affected the most because of illegal immigrants come over here and these mega corporations want cheap labor so that They prefer to hire illegal immigrants over Black Americans, and it hurts Black people the most. For example, day labor jobs, construction jobs, factory jobs, those were all considered so called Black jobs. It's not about getting mad at these people, they are just exposing the system. Latinos are getting mad in Mexico because white Americans are flocking down there and buying up property. And what are they saying? Go back home. We ain't we ain't y'all doing well. Y'all doing that up here today. Birthright citizenship is a scam. The Democrats want them for votes. They use birthright citizenship to protect illegal immigrants, but they need the Black vote to keep the scam going. This is how other groups are able to use our suffering to benefit their agenda. The Biden Harris administration had an open border policy which allowed illegal immigrants to flood the zone in so called sanctuary cities by dumping illegal immigrants into the Black community so that both groups can fight over limited resources. If Black Americans would have embraced my vision and plan 34 years ago, we wouldn't be talking about this issue. But it is what it is. If the Supreme Court reject birthright citizenship, then that would be a disservice to the United States of America. Just like they did a great disservice by costing us $149 billion on tariffs. Birthright citizenship, it would be a disgrace if the Supreme Court of the United States allowed this to happen. 25% of the people coming into our country will come in through birthright citizenship. They'll, they'll become citizen through birthright citizenship. I believe you can't be a citizen if your parents are foreign nationals. You have to be able to prove to us that you're going to live here, that your family is going to pay taxes, that you're going to learn the language. I believe it should be 3 generations. I'm just saying. How these foreign nationals take over is through babies. How you take over a country is through population. More babies, more people, more representation, and Americans are having less children due to the high cost of living. The reason why I don't think it's right is because we can't just go to anybody else's country and do the same thing. In order to slow that down, you have to stop birthright citizenship. I feel like that's in the best interest of the country. Black people and African people have to understand supply and demand, whether it's the price for items in a store, whether that's wages, it always determines the price. It's not personal, it's business. To protect our country, we have to first protect our lineage to make sure our people are good. In our case, we have to make sure GRCAM members are good, are working in business, making sure our members and students have an advantage because those are the people paying the taxes. In GRCAM Chicago, we will promote STEM, associate degrees, and vocational training. I need brave and smart, like minded Black Americans, brave and smart African immigrants within the United States of America to work with me and help me build and run the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago so that we can replicate the business on the African continent. Ladies and gentlemen, if you think this has nothing to do with us, then think again. The erosion of constitutional protection doesn't stop with one group or one amendment. It's a domino effect, and sooner or later, you will feel the impact. We all watch and witness on social media how they have tried in vain to tell us that once they get rid of all the illegal immigrants from this country, then Dash FM will be next. That's nonsense because the 14th Amendment is about us and it says all persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction, therefore, are citizens of the state where wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privilege or immunities of citizens of the United States citizens. But illegal immigrants are not citizens. They claim they have squatter rights. Not so. The 14th Amendment is not granted squatters' rights. Let me explain. When it states that all person born or naturally to the United States, that refers specifically to the enslaved and former slaves. You have to understand the context in which that was being written. If you were a slave, what they were saying was that because of 13th Amendment emancipation, they were acknowledging that Black Americans are now naturalized citizens and their children. The reason why they had to be stated is because slavery only applied to Black people. There's a bunch of people out here playing like indentured servants were slaves too. Not so. They were not considered property and they usually had 7 years to work off their debt. White men naturalization was never in question. Eminent domain and urban gentrification. That's another reason how you know the 14th Amendment was only referring to Black people. No one ever questioned white people's naturalized status. No ever no one ever questioning whether or not if they are citizens because they didn't need an amendment. They didn't need the Constitution to protect them because the Constitution protected them. These Democrat shields try I'm gonna say these Democrat shields and the Black Bullet tried to tell us that slavery wasn't about race, it was about economics. Then why these white supremacist financial elites created black codes, Jim Crow, convict leasing, redlining, all of this was done to target and sabotage Black Americans, no other group. Once again, when you review these constitutional amendments, they were specifically referring to they were not referring to anyone else. So when you have a written amendment about slavery, you're referring to only one group of people because none of these other groups were considered property. When you read up on the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, notice how these Democrat politicians are trying to ignore our circumstances and try to inject other groups in our amendment. The 13th Amendment upholds American slavery through the back door, which reinforced white supremacy, allowing the state to own slaves' criminality. The Democrats decided to start diluting or watering down the 14th and 15th Amendment, but specifically the 14th Amendment, and explain it to and expand it to include other groups to undermine us. Keep that in the bombing of Black Wall Streets, Wilmington, North Carolina, Rosewood, just to name a few. After the constitutional amendments were written, this is why they ignored our constitutional rights at the state level, at the city level, the state level, and at the federal level, because all of them conspired against us. Descendants of American slaves slash freemen, um, as it pertains to illegal immigrants, they are not protected by the 14th Amendment because they are trespassers. They're not a citizen. You're not a resident at best. You're just a squatter and a trespasser. The 14th Amendment is not an immigrant amendment. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment was not only meant for Black Americans, not immigrants. We have immigrant lawyers trying to make the 14th Amendment to defend squatter rights. We, are, we were not squatters, nor were we trespassers. There is no arguing around it. Those clauses are specifically for Black Americans. You want to talk about immigration, then create your own amendment and stop hiding behind ours or piggybacking off of ours. If we allow these white supremacist financial elites they will whitewash our history, they will erase everything, every single thing we have done here in the United States of America, and we will be completely dispossessed of not only from the money, but what we have done also from from this war tactic being aimed at our culture that we built from the mud. This is why it's important for GRCAM members across the United States of America to stand up and get behind our film project so that we can get my revised and also get my revised book on that bestsellers list. So that way we can move this thing from behind the computer. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why I'm so frustrated. Big time. Yeah, it's like I'm whining and all that stuff, but doggone it, yes, I'm gonna continue to vent. You know, hold my peace. The only reason I'm in this situation is because Black Americans is okay. Let me go there. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from buying my revised book. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from buying items from my virtual store. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from donating to the film project. That's a personal choice. That's Willie Lynch in real time, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what I'm up against. And we coming against that mess. Those, if you're not interested, like I say, just delete me off your friends list. Go on about your doggone business. I ain't talking to you. Got a book out there. Got a virtual store. Trying to do a film project. What more? Ain't nothing more I can do. And our kids are constantly suffering. So we're failing our children. Not just Black Americans, Africans as well. These white supremacist financial elites just act a fool in Africa. Your children up here starving to death while they are living good. Off of land theft, stealing the gold, stealing the natural resources like diamonds and gold. Let's say, for example, in South Africa, that belongs to us. I would say Black Africans. And so that's how come when I come to Africa, I want to reclaim my birthright. I ain't with all these Black Americans that want to sit up here and be begging the white supremacist financial elites for freedom, justice, and equality, because that goes against white supremacy, and they're not going to get that. That's how come they roll back the all the civil rights gains as it pertains to the Voting Rights Act. They just rolled that stuff back. Now it's like we're back in the 1950s, before the civil rights, as it pertains to voting. It is what it is. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast and share it with your friends on all social media sites that you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Our second topic, Ebola in the Congo. Ever since Europeans stepped foot on the continent, Africa has been going through hell. Our people have been living in Africa for thousands of years. We never had all these diseases like AIDS and Ebola. This is biological warfare, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just France who refused to leave Africa alone. We are up against the entire European Union and the United States of America. These white supremacist financial elites want and need our minerals, such as diamonds, gold, uranium, rare earth, etc. I'm calling upon brave and smart, like minded African immigrants within the United States of America, as well as the global African family. Um, Work with me, help me get my revised book on that bestseller list. But first, read my ebook. It's only $9.99. Read that if you want to be part of my business. Because I'm not, hey, if you're not going to support me, I'm not going to support you. I'm going to treat you the same way you have treated me. I'm not on here playing games. I don't have another 34 years to waste. That's why I'm saying, doggone that, I want to get this film project out, fully funded and made, and get it popping. Um, so that's where I stand on that. So yeah. All right. So hold on. Let me. I'm trying to find some. Okay. So all right. This year we are determined to get this film project fully funded and made, so that way um, we can get the story on the big screen in order to reach the black world and let them know who we are and what we're trying to do for my people who identify as descendants of American slaves / freemen. Um, Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast and share with your friends on all social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Our third topic, and this is the main topic: the murder of Fred Hampton and lessons learned from past Black grassroots organization. In this episode, we take a look back on December 4th, 1969. The Black Panther Party Illinois chairman Fred Hampton was murdered by Chicago police, but the story is about much more than the raid that took his life. The movement Hampton was a part of was unique and revolutionary. Fred Hampton helped lead a coalition of activists work, working across racial lines against a corrupt city government that threatened the Black community. At the core of the Black Panther Party were social programs which include free breakfast for Black children, free healthcare clinics, and free legal aid. And because of their impact, it wasn't long of the Chicago Police Department and the FBI. What followed was his assassination and a cover up. Here's some background about Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton was a Black American community activist and a socialist. He came to prominence in his late teens and early 20s in Chicago as deputy chairman of the National Black Panther Party for Self Defense and chair of the Illinois chapter. He founded the anti racist, anti classes Rainbow Coalition, which was a multicultural political organization that include Black Panthers, which organized Black Americans, young young patriots, which organized white Southerners, and the Young Lords, which organized Puerto Ricans, as well as organizing an alliance among Chicago rival street gangs to help them in infighting and work for social change. He considered fascism as the greatest threat to the Black community. FBI investigation. The FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, believed that Hampton leadership and talent for communication made him a major threat to Black Panther leaders. They began keeping close tabs on his activities. Investigations have shown that FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover was determined to prevent the formation of a cohesive Black movement in the United States. Hoover believed that the Panthers, Young Patriots, Young Lords, and similar radical coalitions that Hampton forged in Chicago were the beginning of a revolution that could cause a radical change in America. The FBI opened a file on Hampton in 1967. They tapped Hampton's mother's phone in February 1968 and placed Hampton on the Buell agitators and a militant leader. In, in late 1968, the Racial Matters Squad of the FBI Chicago field office recruited William O'Neill, a Black man, to entrap Hampton. He had been arrested twice for interstate car theft and impersonating a federal officer. In exchange for having a felony charges dropped and receiving a monthly stipend, O'Neill agreed to infiltrate the Black Panther Party for self-defense as a counterintelligence operative. O'Neill joined the party and quickly rose in the organization ranks, becoming director of chapter security and Hampton's bodyguard. In 1969, the FBI special agent in charge in San Francisco wrote to Hoover that the agent investigation had found that the Panthers were feeding breakfast to Black children. Hoover responded with a memo implying that the agent career prospect depends on his supplying evidence to support Hoover's view that the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was a violent organization seeking to overthrow the U.S. government through revolutionary means. Using anonymous letters, the FBI sowed distrust and eventually instigated a split between the Panthers and the Chicago street gang at the Blackstone Rangers. O'Neill instigated an armed clash between them on April 2nd, 1969. The Panthers became effectively isolated from their power base in Chicago, in the Chicago ghetto. So the FBI worked to undermine its ties with other radical organizations. O'Neill was instructed to create a rift between the party and Student for a Democratic Society, whose Chicago headquarters were near that of the Panthers. The FBI released a batch of racist cartoons in the Panthers' name aimed at alienating white activists. They also launched disinformation to force, forestall the information of the Rainbow Coalition. Documents secured by Senate investigators in the early 1970s revealed that the FBI actively encouraged violence between the Panthers and other racial groups. This provoked multiple murders in cities throughout the country. On July 16th, 1969, an armed confrontation between par- party members and the Chicago Police Department resulted in one Black Panther Party member um, being wounded and six others arrested on serious charges. In early October, Hampton and his girlfriend Deborah Johnson, also known as a Kula in Jerry was it was pregnant at the time, rented a four-bedroom apartment at 2337 West Monroe Street. O'Neill reported to his superiors that much of the Panthers' armed stockpile was stored there. He drew them a map of the apartment. In 1967, the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigations, identified Hampton as a threat. They tried to subvert his activities in Chicago, sowing disinformation among Black progressive groups and placing a counterintelligence operative in the local Panthers organization. In December 1969, Hampton was drugged by O'Neill, then shot and killed in his bed during a pre-dawn raid at his Chicago apartment by a tactical unit of the Cook County State Attorney's Office, who received aid from Chicago Police Department and the FBI, leading to up to the attack. Law enforcement sprayed more than 100 gunshots throughout the apartment. The occupants fired once. During the raid, Panther Mark Clark was killed and several others were wounded. In January 1970, the Cook County coroner held an um, inquiry, and the coroner's jury concluded that Hampton's and Clark's death were justified homicide. Later down the road, there was a film based on the life of Fred Hampton entitled, quote, Judas and the Black Messiah, unquote. And that was a really, I enjoyed watching that movie. It inspired me to get my film out to the general public. A lawsuit for the wrongful death was filed later found on behalf of the survivors and the relatives of Hampton and Clark. It was resolved in 1982 by a settlement of $1.85 million. The U.S. federal government, Cook County State's Attorney Office, and the city of Chicago each paid one third to a group of nine plaintiffs, giving revelation about the COINTELPRO program and documents associated with the killings. Many scholars now consider Hampton's death a deliberate assassination at the hands of the FBI. Fred Hampton was murdered by the U.S. government because he was an upcoming leader in a movement practicing a new kind of activism, the power to unite people. Here's the breakdown of the Black Panther Party for self defense in layman terms. In the 1960s, radical pro- progress in the U.S. was at a turning point. Black activists won major civil rights victories and saw an end to the Jim Crow era. But at the end of the decade, there were still deep social and economic gaps between Black people and white people. Black Americans continue to face high poverty, poor housing, and unemployment, and we still had little political representation. These disparities and an increase in brutal police violence led to uprising across the country. Many young Black activists grew frustrated that change didn't happen fast enough. After the police killing of an unarmed Black teen in San Francisco, two activists in Oakland, California, Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton, founded the Black Panther Party for Self Defense. Newton had studied law and knew it was legal to carry guns in California. The Panthers began to patrol the Black community. As the movement grew, several high publicized confrontation with police would bring about mainstream awareness of the Black Panther Party. The allegations in these confrontations were serious, but the public accounts of them were typically one sided and shaped largely by mainstream media, depicting Black Panthers as Black militants. The Panthers called for radical change and a revolution to overthrow capitalism. And kind of that's right there. Overthrowing capitalism was a threat to the white supremacist financial elites, and that's what got them, targeted. And remember, again, these are Black people. So they focus on socialism as a way of solving economic needs. They look to places like Canada, China, and Cuba. They promoted democratic socialism here in the United States, which they saw as a more equitable, more humane system. They released a 10-point plan. Number one, we want freedom. We want power to determine the destiny of our Black community. Two, we want full employment for our people. Three, we want an end to the robbery by the capitalists of our Black community. Four, we want decent housing fit for shelter for human beings. Five, we want education for our people that exposes the true nature of this society. Six, we want education that teaches us our true history and our role in present day society. Seven, we want all Black men to be exempt from military service. Eight, we want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of Black people. Nine, we want freedom of all Black men held in federal, state, county, and city prison and jails. 10, we want all Black people, when brought to trial, to be tried in court by a jury of their peer groups or people from the Black community, as defined by the Constitution of the United States. We want land, bread, housing, education, clothes, justice, and peace. Chapters began forming across the country. They started to implement social programs, which they called survival programs. Their programs included food and clothing drives, free health clinics, and sickle cell testing, and were funded largely by volunteers and donated from businesses. One of their biggest programs was a free breakfast for Black school children. It was during this time he met um, a Kula and Jerry, also known as Deborah Johnson. They they became a couple. Fred Hampton grew up in Maywood, Illinois. He became president of his local NAACP Youth Council in 1967 at at age 19. Shortly after, he was recruited by the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense Illinois chapter due to his charismatic skills. Due to decades of discriminatory policies, Chicago became one of the most segregated cities in America. Chicago Mayor Daley, Chicago Mayor Richard J. Daley, was opposed to neighborhood integration. The city had begun to redevelop certain neighborhoods, pushing low income residents out and into desolate, packed, high rise public housing. Black Chicagoans was pushed primarily to the south side and west side of Chicago. Black Chicagoans were forced to attend um, the hold on, let's see how to pronounce this word. Hold on, dilapidated schools and live in dilapidated apartments. In 1969, Hampton led the Panthers toward an unexpected alliance, a coalition of community activists working across racial lines against a corrupt city government that threatened their community. What they had in common was their poverty. They were building a revolutionary base on class solidarity that transcends race. Hampton named the group the Rainbow Coalition. It included the Black Panthers, a Puerto Rican group called the Young Lords, and a group called the Young Patriots, made up of largely poor white migrants from Appalachia who had moved to Chicago seeking economic opportunities. They organized protests together, and it was working. People were traveling across the country to organize Rainbow Coalition chapters, also rural white communities as well. The white supremacist financial elites felt threatened because these people are not supposed to get along. They were forming revolutionaries against the capitalist structure, and that was the threat. In 1968, the FBI had sent around this internal memo. It outlined goals to prevent the coalition of black militant groups and prevent the rise of a messiah who could unify and electrify black militant nationalist movement. In 1969, Chairman Fred Hampton was the person who fit the description, and the ways in which the Panthers were able to transcend those racial lines, especially charismatic leadership like Fred Hampton. The FBI viewed him as the greater threat than Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. or Malcolm X. In one FBI memo about the Black Panther breakfast program, they claimed the real purpose was to poison black minds with anti-white propaganda, also to indoctrinate the black youth with hate and violence against white people. Under the leadership of J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI deemed the Black Panther Party as the number one threat to national security. The FBI operated a counterintelligence program called COINTELPRO. It was a program that targeted um, descend, descendant political groups in the U.S. They used tactics such as assassinations, discrediting, and false narratives. They were falsely putting people in prison and exile. They were all illegals. Several Black Panthers were killed or imprisoned, including the party co founders. In Chicago, the party was also targeted by Mayor Daley and the Chicago Police Department. Fred Hampton had been arrested in 1968 for allegedly robbing an ice cream truck. In 1969, he was sentenced to 2 to 5 years in prison. He appealed and was released on bond, but lost the appeal. On December 4th, around 4 a.m., 4, 14 Chicago police officers arrived outside Hampton's apartment on Chicago West Side. The police fired nearly 100 shots. Fred Hampton and Mark Clark was dead. The seven the seven surviving Panthers were arrested. Officers involved in the raid testified they were fired on from four different rooms in the apartment, vilifying the Black Panther Party. But experts and lawyers hired by the Panthers, along with journalists, inspected the crime scene, and a drastically different picture emerged. It was clear that the police had fired unprovoked. Of nearly 100 shots fired, only one possible shot could have came from the Panthers' gun. unlike from Mark Clerk at the front door. Later, it emerged that the FBI had assisted the Chicago police with the raid. The FBI had an informant within the Black Panther Party named William O'Neill, a black man who had become chief of security and Hampton's bodyguard. O'Neill had provided the FBI with a hand drawn floor plan of the apartment, which the FBI then gave to Chicago police. And evidence strongly suggests that before the raid, O'Neill had drugged Hampton by spiking his drink. In the years following Hampton's assassination, the police and the FBI continued to imprison dozens of party members across the country. The official Black Panther Party would continue to exist until 1982. Fred Hampton wanted revolution. Those in power wanted to destroy him and what he stood for. The legacy of the Panther is still here. Today, the work of Fred Hampton is alive through some of the same programs that marked him as a threat. Many of the programs that the Panthers created are now staples of our society. For example, before the Black Panthers, we didn't have a national free breakfast program in public schools. Almost every major college campus has adopted a free clinic and legal aid. Sickle cell testing is now respected as a disease by the CDC and others. None of this stuff existed prior to the Black Panthers. This is revolutionary in itself. The history of the Black Panther Party as going toe to toe with the U.S. government um, would never end. Through GRCAM of Chicago, I want us to make powerful Black empowerment films. The goal is to reach the Black youth, encourage them to come out of the streets and out of street gangs. That's how we're going to help stop the genocide in American ghettos. Again, I am just one Black man with a vision and a plan. It takes a team to make a dream work. Stand up GRCAM members worldwide and work with me directly to get GRCAM Chicago to materialize within the low income Black community so that we can expand GRCAM of Chicago to the African continent. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was a mouthful. So, um, what I'm going to do now, we're going to go through my transcript. Okay. Let's see. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Going to encourage everybody to just go to Google, type in my Medium transcript, or it's also my Medium page. So that's Manuel. That's MANWELL online, all one word, dot medium, MEDIUM.com. Okay. And so it's going to pop up like this. And so, see right here where it says pin, that means, like I say, every time I do my presentations or, I write my speeches, I always put them up on here. So let's say, for example, for my my native Africans on the continent, you could just read. You could read my presentation. So I'm just saying that way it was not going to eat up your bundles. I'm just saying that's one way. But anyhow, clicking on here. And like I say, this is side A. Side B, we will be doing that on, please mark your calendar. That would be May 30th. We're going to be hosting side B, the GRCAM monthly virtual interactive conference. And again, the time would be 2 p.m. American Central Time, 3 p.m. Canadian Time, 8 p.m. West African Time, 9 p.m. South African Time, 10 p.m. East African Time, and 8 p.m. UK Time. That's important. Again, whenever you want to, those of you that want to come on the show, let's make that happen. That's why I do all of this. I'm not doing this stuff for my health, just to be running off at the mouth. I want to do more than just news and social commentary, big time. But this is all I can do at this point because I'm not making money from my book or selling items from my virtual store. That's fine. Black Americans, they don't have to buy it. It is what it is. This is why I'm reaching out to the global African family. Work with me so I can do my job and so I can bring the business over there. I got to get it popping over here first in America. You know what I'm saying? That's all. Please don't act like Black Americans when I come over there. That's all I'm saying. You're trying to do something productive and stuff and people acting funny. It's not cool. That's a straight up turn off. Just saying. All right, so here it is. This is the goal, to get everybody to go to where it says show and prove. And again, that's like near the end of the presentation. That's at the bottom. So here's the actual, watch the video, the documentary right here. Again, check this out. This is so sad. God be with the boy's family. A 13-year-old boy was shot in the head on the south side of Chicago by an urban terrorist. I'm just saying, it's just a doggone shame. And you could look at this about, some of the crimes that's going on here in Chicago. Click on that link about more shootings here, mass shooting involving teens that was doing the teen takeover. So that's not cool. See, the teen takeovers. Okay. This is where I was talking about the birthright citizenship. Check that out. Check this out too. I say just check out all of them, but I'm just trying to point out some of the stuff. This is, articles about the Ebola outbreak in the Congo. Check that out. Same thing over here. Also check this out. This is a foundation to help with the conflict over there in the Congo. So check that out. This is talking about why the Democrats' laws, they give you their summary and all that good stuff. So check out both of that. I'm almost done, ladies and gentlemen. This is a shame. These are Jewish people that's in Cape Town. They want, check that out. It's just something else. They seek to be seeks to be a liberated white only country in South Africa. So they want Cape Town to be a separate country. They brought their funny self, from Israel and all that stuff to South Africa, and now they don't want to be under a black government, so they want to. Like I say, that's why I want to come to South Africa, not just only South Africa, the whole um, Sahara Africa, and we're gonna have to each country at a time, just go through each one, and first we're gonna demand reparation for colonization because we didn't ask these people to colonize us. We didn't even invite them. They imposed themselves. So our ancestors, they was like trying to trade with those people, and come to find out those people just low down and dirty. Set up here and colonized them, took over the country, made um, African slaves in their own doggone country. Now I'm talking about the Congo. Leonardo from um um hold on. Um I gotta think just a moment. The name of the country that Leonardo was, yeah, um King Leonardo from, I think, from Berlin, like the Berlin Conference. So anyway, I just know that that guy was just low down. He cut off a lot of Africans' hands and stuff. Just these people was just evil. You know, terrorizing people, putting my ancestors in slavery and brought them over here to help build up their economy. And then got a nerve to hate black people. Doggone, we ain't trying to be around your ass. Sorry. I just have to. That's why I try to read my stuff. But no, I can't be around no a racist person that hate me and want to kill me. You know, that's ridiculous. I want to get away from them. But yeah, they all over there too in Africa. But yeah, we're gonna have to. Hey, if they ain't gonna pay reparations, no problem. They're gonna have to leave our land. Give them 30 days. If they don't leave within 30 days, then we're just gonna have to fight them. But the bottom line, we're not starting nothing. We're finishing it. They was in on African continent for centuries. Their time is up. We don't want to be Europeans. We know the history, and you guys don't want to pay us reparations for what you did to us. Then we don't want to do business with you. It's just that simple. That's not hate. That's common sense. Got an all white town called Orania in South Africa. No black South Africans can go there. Please. But you can't do that over there in Europe. I bet you they wouldn't allow that at all. But they can do whatever the hell they want on the African continent. We got to check them. We have to check them, these white supremacists. That's all I'm saying. Always bugging. They're the ones caused all these doggone problems. You cannot sit up here and try to have a multi culture, because everybody's gonna want their culture to be on top. You know, I'm just saying. That's why God gave Europe to the white man, Asia to the Asian man, Africa to the black South Africans. Sorry, Africa to the black Africans. Not no Europeans. They behind don't belong there. And so again, if they don't like how look, we're gonna just let them know, hey, if you ain't gonna pay reparations for colonization, we don't want you in our land. Bottom line, take your happy self back to your homeland. We did not ask you to come here. We already know the history. Your descendants imposed themselves. Your time is up. Now you want to be around us and you want us to do business with us, you're going to pay reparations. That land is coming back to black South Africans. You up here hoarding up all the resources and stuff. You're only 7% of the population. So anyway, let me so all right, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to show you a couple of things. I'm coming, just bear with me. I'm coming. You see, all of this stuff is important. Shoot, like I say, look, but this is the main thing I want to show you all. This lady right here, she's a Democrat from Washington, Representative Pamela Jayapal. So click on that on Instagram. She's saying reparations for illegal immigrants. It's nothing but a doggone insult. Because we've been trying to get reparations, for 30 years with the HR 40. So I say, all I'm saying to my listeners that's here in the United States I'm gonna just say to descendants of American slaves / freedmen, if the Democrats isn't going to offer us any tangibles in terms of reparations and that anti-black hate crime bill, just no vote. Don't vote for them. Just let them crash and burn, or vote for the opposition, so to speak. Like these black wars, people minding their own doggone business. These white supremacist financial elites coming to other people's countries, stealing their natural resources and land. Just what happened in Australia, what happened here in North America. You know what I'm saying? It's just horrible. So Africans, especially young Africans, you guys gonna have to be ready to fight them head on. It's not just France, it's the entire European Union. They're the ones started all this mess, and they're going to continue to keep coming to the continent to get those natural resources. They don't care about our children starving to death. They care less. All they care about is themselves. So we're going to have to protect our resources. And if they don't want to give us reparations, don't do business with them. That's all I can tell you. So right here, look at this. Slave owners here in America, the U.S. government gave them reparations, or they compensated them. It's the same thing. They were compensated for the end of slavery after 1865. Same thing with these people over there in Britain, 1837. And I believe it was 2015, something like that. That's when they finally was able to finish paying off reparation or compensating former slave owners, but don't want to pay the slaves that did all the doggone work that was torn away from their families. Shoot. It's just, and again, right here, I'm going to constantly talk about this. This Zoom meeting, 44,000 black women raised 1.5 million for Kamala Harris in 3 hours. I just wish God would touch the hearts and minds of black women that's on my friends list on Facebook and all the other social media sites I'm on. If black women would use that same energy to help us raise that 250,000 for this film project, that would be amazing, and that would help our people. But they prefer to sit up here and help a political party. Black Americans have been voting for the Democrats for 60 years and don't. And the only thing that we got to show forth is, the civil rights era, that stuff that happened back in the 60s. Nothing today. So I'm just saying, median wealth of black Americans will fall to zero by 2053. I say it's going to fall by zero by 2040. That's a shame, but hey, it is what it is. And I hate to say, I told you so. I just want to go ahead and do the best I can to get this thing up and running. This is to help our kid. I don't even have children because this world don't even deserve my seed. That's how come I don't have kids. I'm trying to look out for those of you that's black parents. That's all. Black women, see right here again, the news on the national exit polls election for the 2024 results. So black women, 92%, black men, 77%, but still sitting up here fighting, giving them all your energy and all that stuff. Bring that stuff over here. This is to help the black community. Doggone it, all I'm selling is a book. Read my story for yourself. I can't do everything. I'm willing to listen to those that's become GRCAM member. If you're not gonna be a GRCAM member, I ain't gonna fool with you. That's just how I feel. So check out this about benign and neglect. This is real, ladies and gentlemen, right here. Stuff is real. This is Dr. King speaking on reparations. We're talking about come getting our check. They didn't want us to know that, but and then Memorandum 46, how the government didn't want Black Americans and Native Africans to work together. So, and anyway, here's my book right here where you can get it under my credibility. These are our crowdfunding sources. Our GoFundMe page, our PayPal page, buy me a coffee page. Here's my virtual store right here. Click on there. So everything you can see. Most of all, ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe to my YouTube page. That's important. My goal is that I can get up to 500,000, followers. That would be nice. But again, over here we want to build and heal. No playing games. I want to make sure those under my leadership that you're going to benefit. And we want to separate ourselves from these con artists and people that don't mean our racial group any good. I'm just saying. Again, just for the record, non-Black sympathizers are welcome to join us. not as groups, but as individuals. Once we have that physical building, and they have to explain to us where do they stand as it pertains to lineage-based cash payment reparations for descendants of American slaves. Do you agree or disagree? That's all I want to hear. Anybody that say that they are not sure or want to be long-winded, I just tell them you can't be a part of us. I only want those that's in agreement. So if they say they agree, then they're going to have to pay reparations to us in this business, sit in the back seat and keep their mouth closed, because over here, we're not being colonized. I'm running my business the way I run my home, drama free. You know what I'm saying? Our focus is on solving black issues point blank. Nothing else on earth matters. When I come to Africa, our focus is on solving African issues point blank. Nothing else on earth matters. What else I want to say about that? Um, I mean, that's it. Bottom line, I want to make sure that we're not just sit up here, be angry and all that. We heal, that we enjoy life, because life is a gift from God. That's all. But we want to make sure that we keep our distance away from these off-code Negroes. That's all I'm saying. And other than that, just trying to make this the best business, the best Black Christian business in America. Um, so that's all I'm saying on that. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I see you all on Saturday. Okay. If people show up, cool. If people don't show up, that's fine too as well. I still held it down. That's how come I do this, because I don't know who's gonna show up. Some people say, "Yeah, I'll show up," blah blah blah, and don't. But like I say, I'm just doing the best that I can, and just trying to help our youth getting up in age. Sure wish I can get the business up and running in my lifetime. That's all. So frustrating, but I want to make sure none of my members have to go through this type of foolishness once we ever get this business up and running. And that's real. With that being said, that's going to conclude our show for today. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for listening.